Was the fire lit when you had dinner parties here?
No, it was never lit because it smokes like crazy, and they discovered very early on that if you did light it, just the room was untenable because it filled up with smoke.
And so what's the story behind the mural? Because it's very striking.
It is very striking. Roland created the mural in 1950, and we'd only been here about a year by that time. And I think it reflects his fascination with the Long Man of Wilmington, you know, the big chalk figure on the South Downs. Because I believe here, this is the row of hills, and that would be Windover Hill, and the Long Man would be right there. But actually, he's walked up his ley line to join us here, and he's become like our household god, and brought us warmth and radiance into this north-facing room. So he's here really as a wonderful sort of guardian figure. And he's brought the flirtatious little moon and the planets spinning silently through space. He's been here since 1950, and in 1987 we had a big program where we actually burrowed underneath the stack and tried to put in a damp course. And that worked for quite a long time, but it seems that it's got permeable now, and water is being sucked up by osmosis through the bricks, and it's forcing the paint off from the inside. So we've got to do this massive conservation project, and at the moment we're taking advice, we're doing tests, and we're working out how to lower the water table outside the house and all of that sort of thing to help it not have so much of a struggle. If you look closely down here, you can see where the damage is occurring, and then also the paint is beginning to flake. But the big problem is the way this discoloration is occurring, which is the dissolved salts in the water coming to the surface. It's called efflorescence, and the salts crystallize and make that kind of a mark.
What kind of paint is it? What kind of paint do you use?
It's just about every kind of paint that you can think of. Roland used household enamel, there's oil paint, there's emulsion paint. He wasn't too fussed. As long as it was the right colour and it would go on in the way that he wanted it to, he used it.
So it's not a fresco as such, it's just painted on, is that correct?
Yes, it's just paint applied to the brickwork. It's not on plaster, it's not the fresco technique. And really he just wanted to decorate the room, and so he used what he had available. And the wonderful thing is it's lasted as long as it has.
Do you know how long it took him to do? Because he did the whole thing himself, I take it.
He did it all by himself. We do have some of the drawings for the figures on each side. Somebody who watched him do it over a couple of weekends said rather remarkably that it went on so quickly it was as though it was already painted and he was uncovering it. In other words, the idea was so firmly in his mind that he didn't have to stop and actually create the image. It was like already there, and he was just rendering it onto the wall. In about 1920, Roland went to Germany. He was fascinated by the Blaureiter movement, and he wanted to go and see what they were up to. And it actually happens to be, we are told, a factory-made German guitar. It's quite small because it was designed to be travelled with. And upstairs we have this massive wooden case which weighs a huge amount that he must have travelled with it. And I think Roland in this moment had pretensions, or ideas at least, of being a kind of bohemian and sitting around and strumming his guitar and fascinating the ladies by so doing. The trouble is that what he didn't immediately recognize is that he's absolutely tone deaf. He couldn't carry a tune in the bucket. So actually he never got very far in playing it, but he loved it as an instrument, and it was always part of his house. And you see, of course, in Picasso's work, the guitar is such an important image. Roland's old friend, the Greek painter Janko Varda, he said the most perfect shapes in the world are a boat, a guitar, and a woman's body.
That's a line and a half. Did you ever learn to play any musical instruments, or did Lee Miller, were they musical in that way at all? Or?
Well, no, Roland was deeply unmusical.